Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing. Welcome and thank you so very much for joining me. In the intro video to my channel, I talk about taking you along on my crafty journey. Sometimes it's new things, sometimes it's things I'm really experienced with. You just never know. And today is one of those days. I actually completed some quilt scrapbook pages. If you're new to my channel, let me tell you a little bit about this. My mom wants to make 100 quilts in her lifetime. And what she does is she numbers the quilts, usually when she starts them and sort of figures out who they're for and does the design and layout. And I make a scrapbook page of each one. Now, the scrapbook pages have been done over different decades, so the style on them is totally different. When you flip through the book, you're going to see some that are a little early 90s cutesy, and you're going to see some really boring flat ones like this. You're going to see different layers. You might see some vellum. It just depends. My mom does a write-up of each quilt. This one is really long, and I didn't realize it until afterwards. I actually don't have a printer in my house, and we're in the middle of a pandemic. Everything's kind of locked down here. So my neighbor Noni, I emailed the pages that I wanted, 2 pages, and she printed them and put them on her porch. So I kind of guessed before I sent her the PDF what the shapes would be and worked with it. And so then the trick is, if you've already printed them, that's the shape it has to be on your page. Right? If you do something like this as you go, you wouldn't print all the write-ups at once. You would print for each page. It's fine, it works, you just get creative. In the pages, I try to capture the embroidery that my mom does on the quilts, or her hand stitching that she does, the fabrics, the different layout. In this one, I have shown how she lays it out on her floor. My mom keeps her house spotless, and she lays the things out. And then I've captured a bit of this rug right here that I know she loves. So maybe in later years, when she's not necessarily living in the same house, she'll flip through. She chose 8 by 8 because she's fairly petite, and she figured 12 by 12 would be much too heavy in later years. And I think she's right. It was a good decision. 8 by 8 isn't quite as popular now, so sometimes I have to look around to find the book. And we started with Mrs. Grossman's 8 by 8, which were beautiful books and are tricky to find. Every once in a while I scour eBay and find a new one because it's multiple books. On this one, she wrote, this quilt was for my husband and I, and she matched it to our weird wall color. And then she worked in some orange, which is one of my husband's favorite colors, and gave it to us with orange sheets and orange pillowcases. So when you see those in my pictures on Instagram with the cats and I, that's why. And then she writes dates. She'll write about when she started it, the design, she got the fabric at her favorite store, just some bits. So I try not to make every page the same. It doesn't necessarily have the same information. Things that I might put on a page, and you'll see some and others, are thank you notes, pictures of babies because she does a lot of baby quilts, the write-up, some of her stitching. I might take a picture from her room as opposed to, I own this quilt. I could go in my bedroom, clean my bedroom, put it on the bed, and take the picture there. But then it wouldn't have her process. It would be a more finished look, but I try to mix them up. What we've realized over the years, and I mentioned in a different video, is you get pictures of family, loved ones, houses along the way. It really tells the story of our family, not just the quilts. And so that's part of why I'm capturing the rug, or in this next one, I didn't crop out her wood stove because I know that she has spent hours in this room quilting in front of this wood stove, and that she likes it. It's a happy place. So I left that on there. Sorry about my Post-its. We have full names and birth dates sometimes of children. That is not a good idea to put on the internet. So I had to go over those for people's privacy a little bit. In this one, she had the finished quilt on her rack. And I like this photo because it shows the quilting, the pattern, the front, the backing, everything. Then this is the template. She prints these out, and this is how she makes a template for her stitching. So she stitched on this quilt, and It's actually underneath this, so you can't see. The number was here, and then over here was the child's name and the date. Then I have bits of the fabric and a photo of a stitched bunny and more bits of the fabric. It is tricky to get the fabric and the photos on the same page sometimes. I'm getting my pictures done at Walgreens. I think I've mentioned that before, and the color gets off. So note how dark this looks. You can sort of tell that it's a royal blue, but it almost looks navy. On this page, I actually, it's good for you to know that, had a picture glued down right here that was an up close of a bunny stitching, but it was navy. And then when I tried to put the actual fabric, it didn't work. It is tricky. Sometimes I'll get 5 pictures printed, and then when I look at the fabric scraps, 2 of them, the color are so far off it actually clashes, especially if you get into like the reds. Sometimes that's an issue. So I peeled that off, but I knew that I couldn't redo the whole page because this was not going to come up. In making these pages, I'm much more careful about the adhesives that I use than I would be on cards. So for these pages, I used score tape. It's double-sided and it's acid-free. That way it's less likely to yellow. A better adhesive is also more likely to be sticky in the long run, not just when you open up the quilt book in a few years, everything's fallen off the page and moving around in the page protector. So I wouldn't necessarily use my Dollar Tree adhesive. Now, if you're on a budget and that's all you have, still make the book. In reality, I could recreate this page if I had to down the road. I could reprint this. I have the photos. I could put some different fabric on there. It would be fine. I don't actually throw away the fabric scraps that I don't use. I don't know what I'm going to do with them down the road, but I just don't have the heart to. I might use them in cards though, so they would get used up. That is one thing to keep in mind. If you're actually making something that you want to last a long time, use your nicer adhesives and also keep it simple. I'm not going to put 3-dimensional embellishments on these pages, at least knowing what I know now. I may have in the early years, but they'll make the book too thick and they'll damage the other pages. I also keep these fairly simple because I want the quilts and the stitching to shine. She does hand stitching, so there's nothing that I can glue to this page that's more impressive than her stitching. I mean, look at that bunny. That's ridiculous. This is number 62. They're all numbered 61, 62. This one is 66. Oh, I had some troubles with this page. On this page, I tried something new. I tried cutting around the quilts. And the reason that I did that is because they were in a room that had a lot of color going on. So this quilt was laying on top of the bed, which had more color. And then behind it, you could see the clothes in the closet. It was just too much. And I felt like when I trimmed it out, you noticed the quilt better. Also, my cousin has these children with amazing eyes. In this page, I wanted the stitching and the child to stand out, not the clothes in the closet. And I'm really behind because he is much older now. What I did was I trimmed around the edge of it here, and then I did the same thing here. And then I couldn't figure out where to put the text. I almost put it right across here in the middle and moved that up, and maybe I should have. I put it over here, then it was a little heavy on this side. So I went back and I put some receipts from one of her stores, like the address and the name. Quilt stores are hard to come by. So if you're a quilter, be sure you're supporting your local store. It's very likely that by the time I finish this scrapbook, some of these stores that I'm documenting in it won't be here. So that's why I'm trying to work them in. I had trouble. These were first it was a little high, so it competed with the head, so I moved it down, and then the paper got messed up, and then it wasn't enough, so then I put this one. Also, the torn style is not really my mom's style, but she'll just have to live with it. That's 61, 62, and 66, and I have some more pages coming, so if you'd like to see those, be sure to check back. Sometimes I also use thank you notes, but like this one was for me, I don't write a thank you note. Maybe I should. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.